Hey, what's up, everybody? No intro music for today because we get banging and clanging tonight, ladies and gentlemen. It's CrushCast. I'm AphroditesCrush, along with
Hey, yo, I'm Ian from the Talk News and Trivia Show.
where I have dominated once again on trivia. Once again, damn, I'm
I
good.
see. I see. Now you gave them a reason to just skip watching the show. Then,
Oh no, because sometimes you just got to watch somebody just descend into greatness and descend into mediocrity. So I mean, yeah, there are shows where you know what's going to happen at the end, but you have to watch to see exactly what happens.
yeah. But no, uh, you won. You held the belt at least from Nate.
I got something for you.
Okay.
What is that crap?
That is no case crack screen. But he's got his audio thing right there.
Oh damn.
Oh my goodness. Saw that and thought of you.
That looks like a bad Friday night, man. That's how I feel right now.
Look at that. That ain't bad. Oh, vapor done. Let's see.
One of those people.
Oh boy. Here we go. Oh man. Gotta love that.
Yeah.
Let's see. Interesting.
Yeah. Need to clean shit up, man.
Damn. He says the Nuck is stretched as far to the right as it will go to reach the Wi-Fi. Why wouldn't you just take this entire situation and move it over?
Right.
Just a question. All right, so this week is just going to be kind of a little bit of a best of, and getting towards the end of the year. There's only one more week before the CrushCast takes a pause for a week or two for Christmas. So we're going to talk this week about just the stuff that you saw that was really, really awesome this year, and maybe one or two things that were total complete trash.
Yeah. Before you get into that, though, you know what I found out that I didn't know about? Did you know Hugh Hefner died back in September?
Who?
Hugh Hefner.
Yeah, I knew about that.
Pretty crazy, huh?
Dude had been on lock for quite a long time, though, man.
Yeah.
That dude lived the kind of life that most dudes dream of, and not very many people get to do what he got to do. So,
well, especially up until his age, you know.
Yeah. I also afterwards, as everyone's like, well, all he did was peddle smut and blah blah blah. It's like people really didn't talk that much trash about him when he was alive. There's probably a reason for that.
Right.
Wait till someone dies, then talk all the trash. Something ain't right there, you know.
I know, man.
But
it's just crazy because that type of thing, though, just, like with that, that classiness that I guess you could say that Playboy had just doesn't exist, you know?
Well, I think that people also misjudged a lot of what was going on. They just saw Playboy as some rag that, just put out boobs on paper. And
right.
especially when you go back into the early days, you actually see a little bit more of kind of an upper class lifestyle that a lot of people were attracted to, both male and female. I mean, there were Playboy clubs. There were Playboy get-togethers, and like, everything that you ever saw Hugh do, if he was involved with it, it had an element of class to it that most people can't fathom. Like, how often did you hear about Hugh Hefner being involved in some, like, get in a drug bust? He spent 6 months in jail. Like, you never heard about stuff like that.
No, you never hear about any of this stuff.
Exactly. You never heard about, him getting pulled over at 3 a.m. with the DUI, blowing 3 times over the legal limit. You never heard about domestic violence. You never heard about these things because by all accounts, he was someone who was class in an industry that lacked a lot of class.
Right. Although I will say, if you did shine like a black light spotlight on that place, you'd probably be seen across the universe.
Yeah, that place is a little weird, but
especially like that grotto pool, because like everybody's always getting freaky in there and stuff, Like, I heard about this one guy that was like getting an interview or whatever, or this one of the Playmate girls was getting an interview, and she was like, the guy didn't know it, but she was like having sex with the guy was like underwater.
The thing you also have to understand about Playboy is like it wasn't just about that, and far be it for me to dispel the myth of your average reader, but there's actually a lot of social commentary, political commentary, and a lot of creativeness beyond Playmates and that entire like overarching image that they had.
Well, of course, that's why they got rid of the nudity and stuff. They pretty much.
Oh, it's back.
Oh, really? They went back to that?
Oh, yeah. It lasted like 6 months.
Well, I mean, they were trying to keep it all that. I know that.
The was thing like about it is that a lot of times if someone had something to say, they would say it in the columns of that magazine. There were. I think it was called the Playboy Club television show. Hugh Hefner used to actually host and entertain the likes of Sammy Davis Jr. and it's that type of inclusion that, as much as people want to run down that company, and some of it they brought on themselves, but it was this it's really classy and really kind of upper tier style of marketing. If you ever asked your average everyday dude, it was different. There were steps taken, as much as people really don't want to hear the word as it pertains to Playboy, modesty.
Yeah.
There were people who came out of that and that acted less than modest. However, your standard image of the company as a whole wasn't wasn't one of like scum of the earth. You know what I mean? You never heard that.
Right.
So
I think that one of the main messages that Playboy tried to put out there was, hey, the human body is beautiful,
Yeah,
it was in an artistic way.
Yeah, it was marketed in a way to be more lady friendly than male friendly in that scope, you know. But
do you think it kind of is unfortunate that like we're the reverse of a lot of countries where violence and gore and stuff, all that stuff is okay, but like nudity and all that stuff is taboo, where in like places like Europe it's the other way around,
I lean more onto the side of like maybe this standard libertarianism, where what's the best way to put this? Countries like Japan have it right. You kind of dispel this shock value, this mythical effect that images have on your standard society, and you deprogram the taboo out of things, and things tend to even themselves out. Because the more you tell someone you can't do this, the more they're going to do it.
Right.
Partially because, you shouldn't do this. So, as much as, countries are different and how they view certain content, I'm more of the type of guy that's, okay, take everything in your own personal moderation, no matter what the standard content is. Whether it be, horror violence, action violence, or any type of nudity or whatever. It's more about moderation and how you control yourself. If you are someone who's on a straight and narrow to begin with, all this other crap isn't going to affect you. Now, right. The people who cannot control themselves and cannot, exercise some sort of moderation, those are the people who everybody tends to worry about because, they tend to roll to the extreme. But
you mean like somebody that has like, say like an addictive personality that should cut back on watching like too much porn or something like that? I know some people are like that.
I almost kind of cringe when I hear that term, addictive personality, because
that's what Frank says. That's what he is the type of addictive person. That's why he got addicted to, like drinking so much alcohol and he had to stop,
When I think about that term, I don't like it because I think it mischaracterizes. I think that the person who exhibits addictiveness to something has something else going on. Like it's not.
They're trying to fill a void in their life.
Yeah, in my opinion, it's not addictiveness; it's compensation for something else. Whether they're unhappy. I mean, it could be something as simple as you're unhappy with your job. You can be unhappy with the person you're with. You're compensating for person or situation X with person or situation Y. And I've seen a lot of people who can't get over that, but also see people where they have the quote unquote addictive personality, and once they get off of the thing that they're addicted to, they level out because they figure out what's going on. They work to heal from that, and then that eliminates the need for whatever they're doing. So right. Like I don't really like that term as far as addictive personality goes, and I've used it in the past. And like when you stop and think about it, at least to me, this is just my opinion, of course, but I think that's a little bit somewhat of a crutch to some people, to the people who don't want to face what they have to face and get over what they need to get over to be a normal functioning human being. But again, that's just my opinion,
So like when people say, "Oh yeah, gambling is just a disease," it's just pretty much people, need to get over some issues. People they do that type of stuff.
Well, some people it's out of boredom.
Yeah.
I've heard people say, "Well, I did just because I was bored. I had nothing else better to do."
Right.
And there are things that when you take a look at certain actions, I've heard that about gamblers more often than not. Like I've heard people say, "What else am I going to do with my money?" Wow, I've heard people say that they get the thrill, they get the rush out of it, and that's why they do it, and that's what keeps bringing it back.
Well, is that why gambling is illegal in the first place? Because they say it ruins lives and families' lives and stuff like that.
Well, gambling isn't illegal in the state of Ohio. Gambling's not legal.
Oh, really?
Oh, no. We have a couple, at least 4 casinos in the state.
Well, there are reservations, though, right?
No. Oh, no. You have one that's in downtown Cleveland, I believe. You have one in Toledo, one inside of Dayton or Cincinnati, and one that's in Columbus.
Right, yeah. I thought the way that they're able to operate is because they're owned by Native Americans that,
Oh no.
Whatever.
Like 2 companies own both of them. It's at least just 2 companies, and they're not reservation units. They're licensed by the state to a couple different companies, and they operate just like any other business. Yeah.
How many states is it legal in?
Holy crap! It's Ben.
Gentlemen and Doug, how's it going, everybody?
Holy crap! Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, a new fighter has joined the battle.
Finish him.
Mortal Kombat. You want to talk about a surprise? Woo! Yeah. My goodness.
My goodness. I'm just here to report that my mic is working so that if anybody cuts it off, it will be Bill O'Reilly. I mean, Doug behind the wheel.
Well, we're not on that subject today, sir. We are not.
What's everybody talking about today?
Well, we're going to be getting to the best of 2017 in just a moment, but we're currently discussing the current state of gambling in Ohio.
Which is?
We have a couple different casinos, all owned but licensed by the state. So I just explained to them that they're not reservation based. There are no Native Americans involved in.
I remember the casino situation going to election, and my mom, she's like, I didn't hear anything about whether it passed, but now there's casino, so I guess it must have passed, or it doesn't matter. They did it anyway, because she's a conspiracy theorist. So,
but just to catch you up, though, Ben, we were talking about I didn't know that Hugh Hefner died. That's so we talking about all of that, and like how that it was there really doesn't exist much of that type of thing as far as class goes. There's not really any like classy porn that's like at that level,
Classy. Well, there's been the argument that the whole Playboy lifestyle is like, since now that with the internet you can get direct access on your phone to hardcore pornography, that there's no real need for a nudie magazine.
Well, that's why they got rid of the nudity, but then Doug said that they had brought
it back after a year. And it's like, it's like, oh, hey, so we're not going to read this magazine for the one thing that made it, significantly different than all the other magazines. I mean, it is a literary source. A lot of good authors have been published in there and everything. But
and that's something I brought up too, is that there's a lot of social, political, and writer commentary, and like I think that's one thing that Playboy was always like underestimated for.
But of course, there's the whole argument that as progressive as Hugh Hefner was, it's as much as he championed sexual liberation and a lot of different things from the rigid 50s on, he still, you know, exploited, made objectified women and different things like that. It's like, well, you know, I think that there are some good valid points to be had. I mean, you know, Hugh Hefner was a man of his time, and even, you know, aging into it when, you know, he became a man in his mansion with, you know, 7 girlfriends, and then, you know, all kinds of other stuff where it was kind of basically a parody of himself after a while. So, you know, he was selling a fantasy, and then, you know, to that end, he was also kind of having to sell that fantasy even into his elderly age, and it's like, I don't know, that's not a position I think I'd want to be in, but, you know, I mean, you could compare him to people like, you know, Bob Guccione, was it Guccione of
Guccione.
Yeah, him, or, you know, Larry Flint. You know, he was still, I don't know, it's very interesting. Like Larry Flint was saying, you know, a while back that, like, you know, there's no such thing as a Playboy man now because there's no real need for one. And it's like, well, I don't know. I kind of think, like, you know, just like it's just like magazines today. There's a big question of, is there a place for magazines? It's like, well, there's always going to be a place for good journalism and good writing. It's just a matter of now that the internet has democratized it. It's time to have quality float to the surface rather than this is the only place you're going to find it. Same with pornography.
Right. But I was just saying, like, with Playboy, is that their message pretty much was that, hey, the human body is beautiful. It's viewed in a beautiful way. Let's not, diminish that, you know.
Hef himself said that, like, you know, the point was nice girls like sex too, you know, was one of his arguments. I was flipping through an old issue online one time, and I found in the same issue they had a letter from a man who was saying that he was gay and living his life with live with another man, basically like marriage, even, you know, in the 60s, long before marriage equality. So that they were going to live, you know, husband and husband, married. But in the same issue was a cartoon of some white people being cooked in a pot by cannibals. So, you know, you can only go so far from stuff you have to take stuff of its time. It's like sometimes things are progressive, but you look back, you know, with today's modern eye, and you're going to have, you know, not everything's going to be, you know, roses. So.
Yeah. And I also was mentioning, like, maybe I should get your take on it too, is like, what do you think about how, you know, like, we view like gore and violence and stuff okay, but nudity is like taboo, but in a lot of other countries like Europe or whatever, it's the reverse, you know?
Yeah. Well, you know, it's, you know, the whole Puritan angle of America, where it's like, you know, oh, for the children, and, you know, let's you know, oh, you're free to do whatever, but obscenity, we still need to cover stuff. It's ridiculous. You know, there's a lot of ridiculous things in the country, just like anything we talk about, you know, gun control or other things where it's like, this isn't such a hassle for other developed nations, but we have a lot of things holding us back.
Right. And then we got it talking about, you know, porn addiction, and then Doug said he doesn't like that term addictive personality because, like, I know Frank mentioned that he has that. That's why he shouldn't be drinking anymore. And talked that got into gambling and stuff.
Well, you know, if you have one vice and you don't have it anymore, you can still have urges and therefore seek it in another vice.
Yeah. So. And Doug was saying that he thinks a lot of those people that like do gamble and stuff are just trying to fill like a void in their life, you know.
Well, that's addiction in general, is a lot of it trying to fill a void. You know, you're seeking either some high or some sort of satisfaction or gratification that you're just not achieving in your life, and so you spend a lot of your emotions, and emotional energy chasing it down rather than healthy alternatives.
Right. What you eating there?
S'mores cereal. Not sponsored. Just hungry.
Not sponsored. Hey, that's a great segue. It's great. I like that. Not specifically sponsorship. However, going to do mid show plug here.
Mhm.
Right now, I'm going to give you 2 affiliates for the price of 1. But you didn't pay for the 1, but I'm going to give you 2 anyway. So, of course, you always hear me talk about Iron Addicts Nation. Obviously, if you take a look at my Instagram at AphroditesCrush, you will find a link to IronAddictsNation.com and also Iron Addicts brand. The Nation, you can actually join up and be one of us, one of the Iron Addicts pushing the pavement for the brand for CT Fletcher. And also, on that note, to take a second here to wish CT Fletcher speedy recovery. He's actually currently waiting for a heart transplant. So, the father of the Still Your Motherfucker set, my man, I hope you get better. I hope you get what you need. So, a lot of love and positivity out that way. Also, to the rest of the Iron Axe Nation out there, it's a fantastic time to band together and really show support. Also, if you actually take a look up CT Fletcher, he is running a Patreon currently. So take a look into that. Also, my new affiliate is Player One Coffee. We all like coffee, don't we? Some form passion.
I don't really drink it, but go ahead.
I like hot chocolate.
Hot chocolate, coffee. Well, they have a fantastic extra caffeinated blend called Leroy Jenkins.
I think I heard about that.
Yeah. So they have 4 different roasts currently. And the one fantastic thing about Player One Coffees, if you do go to the Facebook page, AphroditesCrush Entertainment, I do have an affiliate link to save you 5% off of your Player One coffee order.
Is that good to like drink every day when you're like pumping iron or whatever? Obviously, without like all the sugar and cream and stuff in it, probably. Yeah.
Well, there are a lot of people who actually use coffee in general as a pre-workout. They really kind of ride off of that, just kind of that kind of caffeine rush, and they don't want to take a lot of the other stimulants like B12 and taurine and all this other stuff. So there's a ton of people out there who will just drink straight up coffee just to rock and roll. So just a quick rundown of their current lineup. They've got Omen, which is a dark roast, First Person Smoother, which is a light roast, of course, Leroy Jenkins, which is the extra caffeinated, and God's Gift to Gamers, which is medium roast. So,
okay. So what were you wanting to talk about though, Doug? You were wanting to do some like highlights or whatever?
Yeah, so I figure we can do like one thing this year that impressed you the most, one thing this year that was just blew you away that you're super happy to either get in your hands, happy to hear announced, or just happy in general to hear about. And then we'll do, I'm going to borrow something from the Breakfast Club, be like the donkey of the year. So be the worst thing that came out this year.
I was actually kind of curious. You mentioned Patreon. Have you talked about the recent situation going on there with their change in fees, Doug?
Actually, I haven't got a chance to really do much about that. I know I'd heard about the percentage hike and all that. I'm a little torn on that particular issue because I think we all knew Patreon as a whole was kind of headed this way. At least in some form, but I think it still sucks that they're going to be charging people up front to donate money. I understand that they have to operate. I understand that they have to, the number of Patreon, not only users, but also donators is extremely high right now. But I don't think it's a particularly good thing long term, I guess would be my statement on that.
No, I don't see that going too good for their numbers, at least,
Well, Jim
it's already affecting people that are pledging things like $1. Because if you're pledging $1, it's going to cost you too much to pledge. So it's like it ruins the point of it. And
a lot of people get the multiple dots, like small amounts. That's what they depend on.
Yeah, and a lot of creators are saying, I'd much rather shoulder the burden than the people trying to give me the money, because just take it out of the bulk at the end. And a lot of they say some of the argument is mostly towards people doing the subscription model, because they're afraid of patrons flaking out. And it's like, well, that's only a certain percentage. And there's been a lot of argument that it's more for the end of they got so much in investors right now, and it's like, well, this kind of place, it's going to purge a lot of people from their system that can't afford to be on it if they have to do it. And it's like, well, a lot of places that are looking to be bought out do that similar kind of thing. So there's also the issue that Kickstarter has their own alternative, because they bought Drip and have been moving it towards a creator funding of a different way. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, like top YouTube content creators such as Jim Sterling have publicly, like Jim Sterling's video today. At the end of the video, he's like, "Okay, sort it out, or I'll be looking for a new avenue to fund." I think a lot of people are going to end up just going straight to the PayPal model. PayPal is very much abused in a lot of ways, unfortunately, by creators. But I think that's probably going to be the one service that benefits the most, unfortunately.
Yeah. What are they going to do for all their, like the, like, what do you call it, making like a whole page and stuff about what it's all about? Or you think everybody's going to have to start doing their own website or something?
Yeah,
do it on Facebook or whatever.
That's going to be the end game, honestly. It's going to end up being a situation where someone's just going to either on their Twitter page, on their Facebook page, or on their own personal website, they're going to essentially, here's my PayPal, donate to my PayPal. I mean, because at least, PayPal has been taking percentages out for a long time, but they've been honest from the onset.
Yeah.
Whereas,
well, yeah, but they also tend to freeze accounts and have very strict rules that if you can't make money via pornography or adult content on there. If there's if all of a sudden you get a huge influx out of nowhere, well, they can freeze that until the next payment processing, or until they decide that, oh, this wasn't just a bunch of people laundering money.
Now, I'll be honest.
There's a lot.
I'll be honest. I did recently have that kind of an incident with PayPal myself. Basically, I've had my eBay account for ages and not actually like really attempted to sell anything. I mean, everyone has their eBay accounts and whatnot, blah blah blah. But I was like, I'll sell a couple things on eBay. We'll see how it goes. And then, after about a month, they froze my account for 4 days, which, I mean, just someone like me is nothing. I sold like a couple things for like X amount of dollars just on the side. I will say that in that process of my account being frozen and then getting it unfrozen, getting it back to normal, was actually more pleasant than I expected. Still sucked, to be honest. But it's not like... I think in the end, PayPal may have to come up with a different category for users, because you have your standard business model, then you have your friends and family model, which a lot of people have abused that model heavily. So mostly Instagram scammers have been abusing that.
I'm surprised PayPal cares about pornography.
Well, it's because it's one of the highest chargeback items out there. If people dispute it to their credit card companies, and therefore the credit card companies return the money to the people that spent it, and therefore PayPal gets the burden of the chargeback. So therefore PayPal just says, well, we're not going to handle it because it's a high risk thing that people buy it and then it gets returned. It's like, so therefore it's not it's an economical situation for them, not so much just content.
I can see that. There I know there was like, I think there was like a 3D printer company though that they're like, oh yeah, we don't want you to 3D print anything pornographic or like violent or graphic or weapons or anything on the printer, you know.
It's like, how you gonna stop that though? Come on.
I know. But so like you want us all, Doug, to name something that we've gotten or whatever?
Yeah, pick one favorite thing out of this year.
Well, for me, it would be my 3D printer.
How many 3Ds have you printed with that, Ian?
I've only printed a few things off of it. I got a model stuff that I want to put on there first, though. Like, I'm not gonna be like somebody who's like Nate that just grabs everything off the internet and just starts printing it. I want to actually design my own functional things, like a lot of things for my photography equipment, or like lighting or whatever. Like a lot of mechanical stuff I want to do.
You wouldn't download a car.
No, I'll model it first.
Fun times.
But what about you, Ben?
What am I grateful for this year? Going to visit my girlfriend for one. That's probably been my biggest highlight of the year. Woo!
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Did you meet her this year? Like, or have you known her for longer than that?
Well, I've known her online for a while, but we actually met in person in May, I believe it was, and then I went back up for another visit in September. So,
but if you didn't know her in 2016, then you could at least say this year you're grateful to meet her in the first place, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. Fun times. How about you, Doug?
For me, this year has been just a explosion of different things. The one thing, like I was kind of going for tech related myself, but what you guys got going on is cool. Is really just getting back into the podcast game again and really starting to create content on YouTube again. Leading up to another quick plug, I launched my website this past week. So that's going to be. I use Wix. Wix has actually made it super easy. I had pretty much everything for the baseline that I wanted up in about 2 hours. Which, really? Yeah, and it's a really basic website, not a whole lot of accoutrements. I only got a couple pages on there, but that's going to end up being the hub for my affiliate links and pretty much everything I have going on. I'm still going to be posting to Instagram, and my Instagram is also already linked on my website as well. So that's going to end up being like the full hub of everything I got going on. And hopefully come next year, I'll actually be able to out and out by my domain name and get all that squared away for a couple of years. So
yeah, I was going to ask, what do you pay for that? And is it all like all the domain name and hosting is all included in that too?
Right now, I use the free model. And that's just the beginning. I don't pay for hosting. I don't pay for anything like that. It's all ad revenue based as far as that goes. So, I'm happy to be back in the game, putting out constant content again, and just really surprised about the type of outreach I'm seeing, not only on YouTube but also on Twitter and Instagram. I am super proud to be a member of the Iron Axe Nation. I know I talk about it a lot, but that's because really getting into this game again, as far as bodybuilding goes, has really kind of lit that fire again. There was a time where I was just down and I didn't want to do nothing. So like when I started watching CT Fletcher's videos more and more, and I guess got more and more inspired and wanted to do more and more. So, having that, kind of come into my life and joining up with Iron Axe Nation, which is a godsend to me, is just something I'm very proud of doing, and I'm proud to rep the nation as far as Iron Axe Nation is concerned. Everyone I've met, I mean, the company I was with beforehand they're a good company. Don't get me wrong. I'm not here to bash them, but I have met people and actually had interactions, social media interactions. There's a community built around it, and we're there to lift each other up. We're there to inspire each other, and that's the type of positivity I'm trying to put out there as far as being able to restart, kick that restart on your life, and just go to whatever heights you ever want to go to. So I'm massively thankful for the YouTube community, Twitter community, Instagram community is fantastic as well, and of course the Iron Axe Nation. So 2018,
All right.
2018 is going to be my bitch. Believe that.
What's your New Year's resolution going to be? Do you have anything specific for that?
I don't do those. Everyone talks about, well, starting January 1st. Fuck that.
No, you're not going to do that shit, right?
No. It's just, to me, in my opinion, the resolution should start whenever you make that plan. Tomorrow is always a word people are going to use to justify not starting. And it's one that I used for a long time too. I'll start it tomorrow. Nah, you start it today. You start laying down that foundation today. Someone gets hired to build a house. You're not gonna keep putting it off, are you? You're gonna start building that damn house. So
right.
To me, like as much as I know a lot of people get a lot of kind of comfort from doing resolutions, that's not for me. Not for me.
But I think I forget what it was. I think there's like some kind of study or something done where they said like 99% of it is like, that the hardest part is just getting it started or whatever, just because most people will, like, if you actually get it initiated, like say if you're putting off going to the gym or whatever, even if you're like force yourself to put like, like get all your equipment and stuff set aside to be ready for in the morning, even if you just like initiate that, then you have a better chance.
The fact is that a routine is rooted in the first 30 days. Proven fact. You will consistently and contently do an activity if you consistently and contently do that activity within the first 30 days with no interruptions. And that's the one thing that most people are kind of blinded to, in my opinion, because they want instantaneous. Everyone wants to do 5-minute abs. Everybody wants to do a 2-day cleanse. It don't work. Cleanses, like people have to understand what they're getting themselves into. They have to understand what type of a lifestyle that you have to adopt. And that's one thing that just turns people away, unfortunately.
Ben, you got any resolutions yourself?
Resolutions are kind of showboaty, so I don't really bother with them. Just goals and things to focus on. Being productive, achieving the things I'm setting out to do.
Well, like the beginning of the year, do you have any kind of goals for like January or February?
Just to get videos up on my YouTube, things up on Instagram, start bringing, creating content and putting it out there, getting some reaction, trying to bring some of the El Bulo in, so.
All right.
You would be proud of Ian and Frank, Ben.
Really?
They did a cartoon brew article on the TNT show on Friday.
Oh, did they?
I was going to ask him that later if he saw the news.
Did Doug pout and stomp his feet?
No, actually, I asked for it the weekend before because like Frank had like 75 articles. I'm like, where's Ben with Cartoon Brew?
Well, there you go. What was the article, Ian? I haven't had time to check it out because your shows run like 4 hours. So,
but it's true. But oh shit. Yeah, let me see if I can find you the link here.
Wasn't it about the sexual harassment thing?
Yeah, it was about
what, Lassiter? Or is it somebody else now?
Oh no, it was about a group of female animators and like voice actors all calling for the end of sexual harassment in the workplace.
Good cause. It's gonna take a long time though, because it's in all pretty much every industry. There's a lot of things that need to be fixed.
There's a link for it.
All right.
Yeah, over 200 women in LA's animation industry demand studios end sexual harassment in the workplace.
Well, it's when you think about it, Ian, when you and I were in art school, it's like we knew all the girls in the animation program by name because there were like 5 of them. Right. And now it's like there's just an explosion of young creative women out there, and it's like they're not going to put up with the way, what's the old boy system? It's like they're
good
not
old boy
put
system.
Yeah, they're not going to put up with the stuff that's been going on for decades, and I don't blame them. Good for them. I hope to see it happen. Yeah.
Right. Well, it's interesting. We got Nate's girlfriend Misty on there, so she was giving her opinions on it. Where she was pretty much saying that she is the type of person that she wouldn't like let that type of stuff slide though. Like she would be, if somebody says something that she doesn't like, that she's gonna say something about it, especially if it's like really inappropriate.
Yep.
Well, it's like they were talking about with the with it happening in Congress. They're like, if you're a person who comes out and says that somebody harassed you, the person who announces it have to go through such a system of BS that is all basically wrapped around to prevent you from speaking out. It's like you have to go through the accuser has to go through counseling and this and that, and wait certain days and all this, and it's like, no, that's that doesn't help them. That helps the person that abused them to go on and do their thing for as long as they want. And yeah.
At the same time, though, she did agree though that like it's like a case by case basis where like you have some people just try to jump on the bandwagon with that stuff, and it's like they get upset just if somebody says, "Hey, you look nice today" or something, and they think that's like some kind of harassment,
I don't know. I mean, the realistic issue is that there are more people being, we know people are dealing with harassment, both men and women. But, the issue is that, whenever an accuser comes out, it's like, well, yes, you do have to wait until things do get settled in court, but a lot of things don't get settled. A lot of things we don't know. But, jumping on the bandwagon, I don't know, man. Because it's like, look, things like Bill Cosby, or look at Moore, that guy who's running, who's been, got banned from malls, and has, is pretty much everyone said he's dated, teenage girls. And it's like, and he's like, oh nope, I'm still in the race. It's like, what? It's ridiculous.
Right. What I think a clear definition needs to be made though. Like what is like okay and what's like totally not okay, and it's really wrong for you to do to anyone, whether it's in the workplace or not,
Well, I mean, I think I can't remember. I think I talked about it with you guys on your hangout before about Matt Lauer from the Today Show, how he had that button under his desk that would, if somebody came into his office, he would press the door and it would lock the door press the button and it would lock the door behind them. It's like, what reason could you have for that button other than I'm evil? Other than the Mr. Burns button, what's next? You're going to have a trap door in the floor too? I mean,
yeah.
Man. I don't know. What are your thoughts, Doug?
Well, it's basically the same type of thoughts. It's people know right and wrong, and I think to pretend otherwise is a little presumptuous. But I think in many cases, I do think we have a lot of people who are, oh, me too. I experienced this, and a lot of them are just attention seekers, unfortunately. And that's on both sides, to be honest. So
right, it has to be looked at on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah, I'm very much case-by-case basis when it comes to that, just for that simple fact. But that's mostly because you see a lot of like specific accusations. One person comes out, and that's the only person who comes out, and they're like, "Well, there's more." Okay, but I'm also of the mindset primarily that you don't make public statements. You go to where it's going to hurt them the most. You take care of it through the courts. You press charges. That's the only true way you're ever going to hurt someone who does stuff like that. And saying, I'm going to sue you, only keeps them on the streets where they can do it to somebody else.
And then
you can take money from someone who's rich. Have fun taking money from someone who's rich. But until you take their freedom away, that's going to be the one thing that is the definer.
And then we've got the president who's saying his accusers are lying and he's going to sue them, and it's like, that's not the appropriate response to I've been sexually harassed. You issue a statement that you don't threaten the people accusing.
Yeah. Well, on that mercenary note, it's about time for us to roll out, ladies and gentlemen. Ian and Ben, plug your stuff.
Well, I think just real quick, we were talking about positives of 2017. I think I just named the biggest negative of 2017. So, oh well. So my stuff, you can find me at norightsproductions.com. You can find all my links to stuff there. Follow me on Twitter, No Rights. If you want to check out my Tumblr, maybe
check out my Tumblr.
How about you?
Doug, you didn't want to. We don't got time for me to do a title match with you, Doug. I was coming for you.
I am on a time crunch tonight, so I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to make the show either this week or next week. Mostly due to work.
So, yeah, you said we're not. Well, we're going to be gone like a couple weeks for the holidays, but are we going to be doing your show next week though?
I'm not sure which days I'm off, but a lot of those nights with the next couple weeks, I will be working until 11:30. So if you don't hear from me, you probably know why.
All right, that's cool. I'm coming for you, Doug. For you.
You finish this in the ring.
Yeah. Next show, I'm coming for you, Doug.
Just bring it.
What belt am I after, by the way?
Want to hold
you got a belt there?
See, you're just coming for the trivia championship. These right here are retired championships. So we got a new one. So, yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen.
All right. Let's see you on the other side.
By the way, check out my YouTube channel. Just Ian Adams. I do the show, the TNT show. Talk news and trivia. So check that out. Bring some of your followers over there because you are on there heavily. So
yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching. Until next time, goodbye and good night. Bang!